Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Uncle Matt here live on a Saturday afternoon to talk Nashville SC and their upcoming match today against the Portland Timbers. Did try to do our usual Friday night time slot last night. Actually, had somebody that jumped in the chat before we even went live. Heartbreak Productions, why did you stop stream last night? Um, Started the stream last night, didn't quite have my full, let's say, preparation. I'll say I wasn't camera ready, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. Probably about like 5 or so minutes into kind of trying to do the stream, I was like, this is probably not the best quality. This is probably not the best job I could do of presenting a live stream and talking Nashville SC. So decided to scrap last night's attempt and come back to the drawing board and launch today, a few hours out from today's match. We will be at the match at Geodis Park later this evening as Portland Timbers come to Nashville, visiting Geodis Park to take on the Boys in Gold. Nashville SC sits at 0-1-1. Portland sits at 1-1-0. So they've already got a dub on the board. They've scored some goals. We have not. Quick thoughts on last week's match with Red Bulls New York. Kind of went almost exactly how I said. I even had the scoreline right. I said 2-0 Red Bull New York. They got to those two goals a lot quicker than I thought they would, but the press, the kind of disruption that they put on, especially our young midfield duo of Matt Cochran, I believe it's pronounced. I think I've been saying Cochran, or maybe I've been saying it wrong, or I don't know. And Will Meyer, I mean, once again, they did not have a bad game. You can't really lump them in for the main reason, but didn't look as good facing the pressure New York Red Bulls put on them, and really didn't kind of what we said coming out of the first match, even, as good as they were, as solid as they looked in that match, they don't have the presence, the dynamic passing ability, the kind of line breaking pass ability that we need to kind of set some chances up for our front line. With some changes in the second half, once Patrick Yazbak and Ahmad Kassam came on, looked a lot better. Still couldn't find a goal, which is a little troubling, but, we're taking baby steps here. We're looking at the positives. We're, finding signs of encouragement wherever we can. I would certainly say Patrick Yazbak coming back into the team was definitely a positive. I mean, he definitely saw the little extra edge, a little extra bit of dynamic play he offers compared to the two younger midfielders we've been rolling with so far this season. So back from injury, coming off the bench last game, I would expect him back in the starting lineup today, and that could be a huge boost overall for the Boys in Gold. So with that being said, let's talk about the match. What do we have in store today? Nashville SC, Portland Timbers. Right out of the gates, like I said, I would expect Patrick Yazbak to slide back into the starting lineup for the first time this season, which will be a huge upgrade for us in the midfield area. The question then becomes Gaston Brugman, who I think is penciled in to be the regular first choice player alongside Yazbak in the midfield duo, is back in team training. He is completely off the injury report this week. But does that mean he goes right back into the starting lineup? Tough to say. I mean, judging on the way BJ Callahan has kind of handled those situations, the kind of injury returns thus far this season, if we're looking at the pattern of what happened with Yazbak, came off the injury report, was named to the substitute bench, came on as a late sub. So is that the track we go with Gaston Brugman here today? Does he make it to the bench, potentially come on late in the game? I think that's the most likely scenario, just based on what we've seen so far and the way BJ's been handling returning these players back into the team from injuries. So then the question becomes, who is the midfield duo? Does one of Cochran or Meyer keep their starting spot alongside Yazbak, or do we go with more of a similar formation what we saw in the second half last week, where Ahmad Kassam or potentially Johnny Perez starts on one of the wing spots and Eddie Tagseth drops into midfield alongside Patrick Yazbak? That probably is what my gut instinct would be that we see today. I mean, going back to the offseason, I think the projections were that Tagseth was signed to be a midfield player. That may have, kind of predated when the Gaston Brugman deal happened, when the Brian Acosta deal happened, and that may have opened up some things where we felt comfortable moving Tagseth to other parts of the pitch. But I would say with Brugman just now kind of being back into first team training this week, having not played since the first preseason match back in January, I would expect it's similar to what we saw with Yazbek, a slow reintegration to the team. And I would think we're going to see probably Brugman and on the bench, and Tagseth, and was my brain freezing for a second, Yazbak as your starting midfield two. The rest of the team I would expect to stay the same, except we're probably looking at somebody coming into that wing spot if Tagseth drops in the midfield. So the question there is, do we go Kassad, who's looked bright and dangerous coming off the bench the first two games? Does he move into the starting lineup? Could we go with somebody with a little bit more experience who's kind of been around the team a little bit longer than Johnny Perez? Could we even get a bigger surprise and see Jacob Schaffelberg back into the team? Or potentially Hani play in one of the wide spots and potentially Teal Bunbury, who looked okay coming off the bench last week. Could he slide into the striker spot and let Hani play in the more wide area? Or even potentially Sam. Sam tends to drift out and get kind of wide even when he's supposed to be a striker. So maybe that's an option there. Be interesting to see what happens there. I do think we see Yaz back in the starting lineup, Tag Seth dropping into midfield. And so what we do, up front will be very interesting to see what happens there. That'll be the key to the game, is what do we do with that little kind of tweaks and twist to the starting lineup. I mean, if it's Ahmad Kassam, which is what I'm hoping for, I think there's a good chance we're going to see some goals in this game. My buddy, the Bear of Texas, he is going to the FC Dallas game today. That's awesome, Bear man. Check out his stuff. He's covering FC Dallas this year for a sports blog, the Playmakers blog. Going to be some great content from the FC Dallas side of things over there. I told him earlier in a previous discussion, I'm really disappointed we don't have a matchup with FC Dallas this year. Nashville does not. It'd be pretty fun to be able to team up with the Bear and collaborate on some coverage of that game. But unless it's a potential MLS Cup final down the line, no Nashville Dallas match this year. But have fun. Can't wait to hear your reports and see what you think of going to the match today. So back to Nashville, Portland. Like I said, I think, if we can get a little bit more of our senior players into the team, if we can get Kassam on from the start, I think there's going to be goals in this game, particularly because Portland's defense is very leaky. We saw right out of the gates the first week of the season, lost 4-1 to Vancouver Whitecaps, although they did have a player, Kamal Miller, center back, sent off within the first 7 or 8 minutes of that game. So kind of throws the whole game into a little bit of not much you can take from that when you're playing down a man that long in a match, particularly when you're a team that's not particularly known for their defensive stability already. Came back last week, got, I believe, a 1-0 win over Austin FC, another Texas club representing here on the channel today. So they bounced back. Their big signing of the offseason, David DaCosta, got the goal for them last week. Encouraging news from the Nashville front. Their top striker, Jonathan Ramirez, I believe, is going to be out injured for the next month or so we won't see him today. So that's one less, attacking option that Nashville SC has to be concerned with today. So bodes well for us. I think this is a big game for Nashville SC, a big opportunity to kind of go out and get a result, get the season really rolling and turn it from a start of a season where we've seen some promising things, but maybe not the end result we wanted, to get to the point where we start seeing that end result, where, the positive things turn into actual goals, into actual results, into actual production on the field. That's what I'm looking for today, is goals. I'm looking for, continued defensive stability. Outside of the 2 goals, and it sounds like a stupid thing to say, outside of the 2 goals that Red Bull scored, I thought we held up pretty well. There was only maybe a few other chances where we kind of looked a little shaky, but otherwise the defense has been pretty impressive for Nashville SC thus far this season. Hopefully that continues today, and hopefully the offense can start pulling its weight a little bit more, because this is a golden opportunity, pardon the pun there, golden opportunity for the boys in gold to get their first win of the season at home, big time, long cross-country road trip for Portland, although that doesn't seem to really, the long travel doesn't seem to affect teams in the way it did, 5-10 years ago, even across sports in general, like all sports. I think teams have better training, better, preparation, better nutrition, better ways of, properly preparing for those longer road trips. It doesn't seem to be such a detriment as it once was back in the day for teams traveling long ways across the country. But got to get a result today. I'm just going to put it there. I don't want to full on say it's a must-win game for Nashville SC, but you definitely feel like, this is where, if we don't start seeing the progress, if we don't start seeing the actual results, going to get a little bit nervy in Nashville if that starts to happen. I think people are giving the new look Nashville SC, Nashville 2.0, as they repeatedly love to call it, Chapter 6, as BJ Callahan has also been using this season. I think the fan base is encouraged, enthusiastic, and willing to give them space to grow, willing to give them time, but there's no such thing as, real time in sports. The clock's always ticking. The fan base is going to turn. Things will happen if things don't get going pretty soon for Nashville SC. But I'm pretty positive on this game. I think it's a good chance for us to get a result. I'm going to go for my match prediction for Nashville SC Portland today. I am going to go 2-1 win for the boys in gold over the boys in green. Got to shout out Portland. They always do such a good job. They're consistently one of the better kit producers in Nashville SC. Their kits are always solid. Nashville SC, a little bit of disappointment with their last couple of new jerseys that they've put out. The Heart of Nashville jersey this year is just a blue jersey with nothing much to it. Last year's 615 kit was just okay. But Portland always seems to be, that's one thing I can say for Portland. They always have pretty fire jerseys, so it'll be cool to see what they're rocking today. Joseph in the chat says, viewing this game as must get a goal. Win would be nice, but a draw with some goals is a minimum. Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I think, we've seen positive signs that the attack looks more lively than it had been in the Gary Smith era, but the goals haven't come. So yeah, definitely we need a goal today, one way or the other. If it's a 0-0 draw, that would almost feel like a loss at this point. We have to, start seeing the results of the efforts Nashville SC has been putting in here. So yeah, I completely with you right there on that one, Joseph. Goal is the absolute minimum for what we have to get today, which is a crazy thing to say in this sport, that the minimum result we need today is to get a goal. But that's how it feels. I mean, I think that's what Nashville SC is desperate for. The fan base just wants to see one hit the back of the net. What is it? The old hit the back of the old onion bag. Is that the old phrase that that crazy Ray Hudson used to say? Should be a good game though. It should be fun though, because both teams will be open. I think both teams are going to be going for it. You're not going to see any kind of stalemate, low block from either team, I would expect. I think it's going to be a wide open, up and down the pitch game with lots of chances, lots of opportunities, and hopefully we turn it into a result for Nashville. It's also the Barbie game. They're running the Barbie game as a special promotion for today's match. There's like a pink bandana that's kind of going to be a giveaway to the first, I think, 10,000 fans. Some specialty merch items that are like pink and Barbie themed, a couple of which my wife has pinpointed as items that I am to retrieve for her on today's game day experience. So when we have the vlog come out, you will see if I was successful or not in retrieving certain items for my wife. A little bit of an update for today's game day experience. We did upgrade to club seats for today. I had my friend of the channel, Wormy, who's also got a great YouTube channel that he covers some Nashville SC stuff on. He was kind of reaching out to me about club sec. I actually don't think he reached out directly. I think he just tweeted about wanting to try to find seats in club at some point in time to do some videos for his vlog, and kind of mentioned that it was just crazy, way too expensive. And I kind of told him that, hey, if you kind of watch them on game days, you kind of eyeball those club seats on the secondary market. Every once in a while, you'll see just somebody's just trying to get rid of them. They'll drop and you'll find a good price. I've gotten club seats, which includes all-inclusive food and beverage for I think as low as $60 once. Today, a friend of mine who I go to the games with texted me. He was like, hey, I got 3 for $90. Is that a good number? Do you want to pull the trigger on that? I was like, let's do it. Let's $90 for club, all-inclusive food and beverage. Let's do that. Because you do the math on that, $90 for a ticket. That gets you all the food and drink you want. If you don't have that, beer is $15. Not a drinker. I'm not a drinker, so I wouldn't even buy those. But just saying, for the average common person, beer is $15 a piece. Delicious empanadas from Chivanadas. You get 2 for, I think I want to say $12. So, that's pretty easy to get your money's worth if you're only paying $90 for a ticket. I can definitely eat, and if I was a drinker, drink $90 worth of food over in club. And you'll get to see me do that if you subscribe to the channel and check out the game day vlog from tonight's match, which should be coming out tomorrow if I do what I usually do and can keep up with my schedule and editing and all that good stuff. Bears got a comment. The one, I don't know why, but San Diego FC is a team I've got my eyes on. Yeah, they've started out pretty well. I didn't see what they did last week. The only thing I saw from them last week is they were getting into a little bit of trouble. They're doing kind of the not fun, derogatory chants on the goal kicks and stuff that we've been trying to get out of the sport for a while. But week 1 went out and beat the defending champion LA Galaxy. I don't know, for whatever reason, it always seems like teams are always down on expansion teams and they're coming into MLS. But I mean, across the board, we've seen expansion teams pretty well hit the ground running and start off pretty hot. With I think FC Cincinnati was kind of the last one that kind of had the kind of doldrums bad start to a season that people kind of always expect out of expansion teams. Nashville SC was great out of the gates. Miami, really once they got Messi, kind of took a step forward. But even early seasons, they were making the playoffs. St. Louis was the top team in the West their first season in the league. Austin, great start for them. So expansion teams have done a good job of coming into the league and really hitting the ground running early on. And so San Diego's got some good players. I mean, Chucky Lozano, he's definitely got the quality where he could still be in Europe right now if he wanted to be. Luca Del Torre, I believe is his name, the U.S. men's national team player, midfielder, another guy who, probably would be in Europe right now. He had some injury problems and kind of lost his place came back to be part of the San Diego expansion team because he's from the area. So they've got good players out there. I think they're going to be solid. I think they're going to be uh, in the mix throughout the season. They drew in their first home game against St. Louis FC. Okay, so I mean, there you go. Out of the gates, a draw and a win, unbeaten to start the season. Yeah, I like them. I like what I've seen from them so far. I think they're going to be dangerous. Don't like the chant stuff. I don't know how we're still having that happen in, soccer at this point in time. It should have been long gone again, but the Mexico national team seems to have, just forever ingrained that. And others, I don't want to just throw Mexico under the bus. There's been plenty of other teams and leagues and nations that have, kept that stuff going when it should have died a long time ago. But Nashville SC actually plays at San Diego. I know there's like a ton of fans in our fan base that have circled that as like a fun potential away day. Probably a little bit too rich for my blood. I think, I mentioned in a recent live stream, I started a new job recently. So hopefully finances will start to sort themselves out and maybe we'll get some away days in at some point this season. But San Diego, probably a bit of a leap, a bridge too far for me at this point in this season, which is disappointing because who knows when the next time we would play out there would be, because you typically don't play all the West teams. You don't typically play at the same places from year to year. But, definitely would like to go out there because, all I've ever heard is just great things about San Diego. Never been out there. Never been to the West Coast myself personally. I think the farthest west I would have ever been would probably be St. Louis, which is very weird to say, but yeah, it's fun stuff going on, but fun to watch the rest of the season. Definitely looking forward to see what the boys in gold do throughout the year. I started out the season pretty good, trying to keep up with the rest of the league. This has kind of been my goal over the last few years, is to grow more and more as not just a Nashville SC fan, but an overall well-educated, well-informed MLS fan. I think I'm doing a better job of that, but it also kind of goes with how Nashville SC does. Like last year, once Nashville SC started to fall apart, I was like, I just don't want to watch any other games. I don't want to watch. I'll watch the Nashville SC game, and then I'm just done with MLS for the week. But when they're kicking, when they're playing well, when things are going well, I do a better job of keeping up with the rest of the league. So we'll see how well that continues for the rest of the year. But I think I'm going to wind this one down because I actually got to start getting ready to head out. I've got some errands to run before match time, and then we're probably going to get down there pretty early today. Try to make sure we grab some of those merch items before they all get snagged up. And also just want to get down there early because the sooner we get into club, the sooner we can take advantage of the great benefits we get from sitting in the club section today. So we will be down to Geodis Park in just the next, probably hour or two here. So if you see me out there, give me a shout. I may try to swing by the tailgate today. I've been wanting to go to the tailgate, and the weather is pretty great right now outside of Nashville. It's a little bit crisp chill on the air, but the sun's out. It's making you feel warm. It's going to be a great day for hopefully some great soccer. That was my poor Scottish or maybe Irish accent there. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks for everybody who was jumping in the chat. Great to see some comments there, and always great to get to talk a little Nashville SC, get to talk a little footy, but now we get to go watch the footy. I will have a live game day vlog documenting everything that goes down while we're at the match today, coming out on the channel soon. So if you are not soon, it'll be tomorrow. But if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do so now. Turn the bell on for notifications so you never miss any Nashville SC content or any of the other great content we're putting out here on the channel. Yesterday, National Cereal Day. What a great little short video of me eating some cereal. You're not going to get that everywhere, folks, just here on the Uncle Mad YouTube channel. Thanks for watching as always. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your bagels. Come on, you boys in gold.